What's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another stream. How are we all feeling today? We are, surprise, surprise, price is dumping again for the stream. Every single Friday that seems to happen. But it doesn't really matter. It's all short-term stuff. How's my volume? Sounds like it's working on my end, so I think we're good. So, make sure you guys get your comments, questions, and pay your bar tabs. Make sure you like the video, hit the like button, and hit that subscribe button for those of you who have not yet at this point. Because obviously down here, bottom of screen, we'll be giving away 10K Kaspa as soon as we get to 10K subs. Hopefully we can do that before the end of this bull cycle so that whoever wins the Kaspa will be able to sell at a very high price if that is what they intend to do with it. Obviously you can do what you want with it. Hold it till next cycle, hold it forever, sell it now, doesn't matter. It's yours to do with what you want. But just in case that person would like to sell, higher prices are better than lower prices, right? So, I see some of the OGs in the chat already. The What Ups, Kaspa Queen, Man from Bogota, Buffalo Theory, Will Be More Stupid, and a few others there. So welcome everybody. I don't have a whole lot to talk about today as far as news goes. I want to run over a few things. But what I really want to hone in on today is the scenario of obviously the Fed just cut a 0.25%. And that is probably the starting point for this altcoin season that we are going to see. Remember, September is typically a red month most of the time, especially on post-halving years, which we're in right now. And so it wouldn't surprise me, and it shouldn't surprise you guys either, if we finish this month in the red, which is where we're trending, I think, at this moment. Because obviously we're dumping in price. I don't know exactly if we're sitting in the red or not. I'm not going to pull it up right now, but we were green to start off the first half of the month. Wouldn't surprise me if we fall back down in the month, slightly in the red, and then, maybe October. Typically October and November are very good months for crypto. And November actually is typically the best month for Kaspa. History tells us. And the interesting thing about that is we could possibly be seeing the blow off top in November, I still think is base case. Let me just put it this way. There is a chance that this cycle does go into next year because the business cycle looks like it's lagging a little bit, and typically in all the other 4-year cycles for crypto, it lined up with the business cycle, and we're going to see, right? We're going to see if the crypto 4-year cycle or the business cycle wins out. And maybe there's a scenario where, they rush this business cycle to end by the end of the year, right? We have no idea. And so we're going to have to play it out. But it's going to be pretty, I think, simple. I say that cautiously to find out, because typically the cycle's going to end in Q4, the post-halving year, which we're in right now, right? If things don't move in Q4, right, and the indicators don't flash, then maybe that's our sign to hold on a little bit longer into next year, okay? But if they do, the indicators start flashing, and we do go fairly parabolic in Q4, then I would highly recommend not to listen to any of the people telling you that the cycle is going to keep going, because it probably won't at that point. So, luckily, what tends to happen, based on history, is potentially going to happen first, right? We get that time frame first, so we're going to know if things look like they're getting overheated and we should be selling at that point in time. So we have to keep that in mind, but let me run through the news, just a few little things real quick, and then we're just going to talk about being ready, because it's extremely important to be ready for what's potentially right around the corner. And whether it be Q4 this year or potentially Q1 next year, you need to be ready. And either scenario is right around the corner and not too far away. And so the most important thing you guys can do right now is to make sure that you're ready for the blow off top scenario, right? Whenever it happens. And that way you're not stressing out. You're not running around like a chicken with your head cut off, and you've got a plan, and you can just execute that plan. And so, first things first here, without, showing too many photos here, let me pull up the internet anyways, but we'll take a look at Kaspa's chart here. And if you guys take a look at this chart, this all-time chart on CoinMarketCap, this is still a very good-looking chart, right? It's basically continuing over a 3-year period to make higher lows, right? And so if we were to come back down to like a fraction of a cent, like we were way over here in the beginning where it was flatlined, then I might get a little nervous. But we're not. And we're roughly bottoming out in that, we had a 5 cent, 6 cent over here, but like 7, 8 cents right now seems to be, pretty good support. And if we can make it, potentially through the end of September and, partway through October and not fall too much further than the 7 or 8 cents, like we're holding pretty well. I think we're going to be doing okay. So just looking at this chart, I know we're down on the 24-hour. We're down 4%, back down to the low 8 cents range. But overall, just looking at this chart, this still looks extremely healthy when it's all said and done. It just had some consolidation time. That's all it had. Remember how fast it ran up in the first couple years of its existence? It needed to cool off. It needed to consolidate. It needed to reset, right? And it's resetting. It's had a long consolidation right before this potential blow off top. And so it seems like everything's lining up. And I know I come on here every day and say be patient, because things will take off at some point. And it's probably getting old to a lot of people, especially those who have not, been in the market and seen, some good green candles yet. But just trust me, it's a matter of time. And this cycle is playing out on kind of a more longer, boring consolidation type scenario, kind of like 2017 did. And there's a lot of comparisons to 2017 that line up, and we even have the same president in office, which is, coincidental or not, I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me if altcoins just start murdering the rest of the market and blowing up, end of October all the way through November. That it wouldn't surprise me at all. I know it feels like that's not going to happen, but that's typically the time it happens. November is an extremely bullish month for Kaspa, pretty much every year, and rates have started to be cut, and so it leads us to believe that things are looking brighter, right? I know you guys, I just made a dedicated video, I think it was yesterday on this, but for those of you guys who didn't see it, we did have Kaspa maxing out at 3,585 transactions per second, which is a record, basically, for proof of work projects. And it beat its own record, I think, of like 1,400 or something. Back, I think that was back though when it was doing 1 block per second, right? The 10 blocks per second that we're doing right now is supposed to handle roughly 3,000 transactions per second, and that's basically what you're seeing here, right? If the network was maxed out and it had that much adoption and people were using it, it should be able to handle this on a regular basis. And it shows that, it did once flawlessly with no mistakes and no issues. So that's a good sign. I think people are stress testing the chain, or the DAG, whatever you want to call it right now, because there's a ton of transactions coming through, and I think what's happening is they're stress testing it for, the release of smart contracts, which, as everybody knows, the new window is by the end of this month that they should be released. I don't see any reason why now that they will not release it by the end of the month. Let's cross our fingers, because another delay wouldn't look very good. But you see here, the Kaspa's done 18 million transactions in the last 7 days. And that's Litecoin doing 1.3 million, Monero doing 176,000, Bitcoin doing 3.5 million, Bitcoin Cash 163,000, and Dogecoin 325,000. And we're only comparing this to proof of work chains because Kaspa is a proof of work. And sorry, my phone's ringing. I hope you guys can't hear that. Let's decline that. Eventually, technically right now it's already rivaling as far as what it can do to proof of stake coins, but it doesn't have the adoption yet necessarily to rival, something like Solana. I think there's potential to get there one day, but as of right now, I think Kaspa is consistently only doing 22 transactions per second right now because the adoption just isn't quite there yet. And these stress tests are, I believe, devs that are, I mean, obviously some of this is people using the network, because there are people that do use it. But I think a lot of it is stress testing just to make sure that at max, it can handle max TPS when the time comes and the adoption does, kind of take strong hold of Kaspa, which I think is going to happen. I don't know how soon it's going to happen, but I see a lot of avenues where it can happen in the future, as you guys know. A couple other things here just with Tangem. They are now available. You can buy a Tangem wallet at Walmart, which is cool. I don't know what the price difference is, and I would feel safer buying it from the, Tangem's legitimate website rather than online at Walmart. I don't know, if people can repackage them and then, sell them on Walmart. I don't know if they use vendors that sell stuff, or what the scenario is as far as doxing these people that are actually using it, or if Tangem themselves is actually, the person actually selling them, and it isn't third-party sellers. I know I butchered that, trying to think of what I'm trying to say as I'm saying it, but I still think it's a little safer to buy it on, at least for right now, on Tangem's direct site. But it is cool that Walmart is bringing Tangem on as a product. The other thing here was, where did it go? Here, right here. So we also have a newly launched Kaspa logoed Tangem wallet, which is cool. The link for this is actually in the description if you guys want to get yourself one. I have a few of them. I don't think with this logo. Maybe it is this logo, but I'd have to go back and look. But based on what we're going to go over in a couple minutes here, if you don't have a Tangem wallet, I highly recommend getting one. And if you can afford multiple of them, highly recommend that as well, because having multiple wallets is safer, right? Because you can diversify your funds, but also it keeps certain stuff separate so that you know exactly what you're going to sell, what you're going to hold, and what you're going to trade with potentially, what we'll go into in a second. So the link for this is actually in the description below if you guys want to get yourself one, and you can always use the promo code CatDaddy at checkout if you want to get 10% off of your purchase. I believe I couldn't find it on their X page. I know it's on there, I just couldn't find it, but they are also going to start accepting wallet addresses that end in .cas. So if you have your wallet address set up, the Kaspa name, I can't think of the word off the top of my head, name something or other, where you can choose whatever you want as like a tag, .cas, and you can now, I don't know if it's officially set up yet, but they're going to very soon roll that out where you can actually send using the .cas wallet addresses rather than copy and pasting that long address that nobody can memorize, basically. And so that's KNS, Kaspa Queen, thank you. Kaspa name system. Name system? Kaspa name. Anyways, it doesn't matter. They're going to be able to use that and send those addresses through Tangem if you want to in the very near future, if it already hasn't been implemented yet, because I haven't tried it. So Tangem is always trying service. There it is. Yeah. Kaspa name service. Like a domain, yes. So Tangem is always really, really forward-looking when it comes to Kaspa. They were the first hardware wallet to adopt Kaspa, and they're always trying to help Kaspa out. So we appreciate Tangem, obviously. Okay. So, real quick, before we jump into the chat, I want to go over, for those of you guys who didn't see my exiting the market video that I posted or launched, I think it was a couple weeks ago now. I highly recommend going back and watching it, but it's a profit-taking video, and what you should, right? I'm not going to tell you guys what you need to do necessarily, because everybody's situation is different and everybody's goals are different. But I kind of went over what I'm doing and what's worked for me, and it's kind of a good, simple system for those of you guys who aren't sure what you want to do yet and what kind of system you want to do as far as taking profits. And it hopefully will be simple and easy and efficient for some of you guys when, the time comes where we need to take profits. Let's turn that off. So, first of all, I'll mention this again that I think we're getting pretty close, right? It doesn't feel like it yet because we haven't seen major moves in the market yet. But things can turn on a dime in the crypto market, and you need to be ready and you need to be on your toes, because we're going to basically what's going to happen is from here on out, right? If we get this altcoin season in Q4 like we're expecting, it's going to come and go like this. And we need to be ready, because before we know it, we're going to be in the middle of it, right? We're all going to be euphoric, and this could happen by next month. We're all euphoric. We're all having the time of our life. We're all screenshotting our portfolios to show them off to people, right? Everybody's starting to ask us about crypto, and before you know it, it's going to be over. And during that period of time is the most important time to make sure you are taking profits, because I've said this before numerous times, but it's going to feel like, and you're going to have people telling you that it's going to last forever and that it's never going to stop. Okay? If we do see a really good, 10, 20, 30x Q4, then it's very unlikely that we are going to see it roll over into Q1 of next year, right? Unless it's like the first couple of weeks of January. And so I want to caution everybody that there are going to be people telling you that it's going to extend, that it's never going to go down, and when you're in that euphoric stage, it's going to feel like that, and you're going to want to listen to those people. And I just caution against it, right? If we don't have a parabolic Q4, then I am now all ears on a potential extended cycle into potentially Q1 of next year. But we have to wait and see, right? And Q4 is going to tell us a lot about how this cycle is going to end, right? And so it's hard to tell, but my base case, based on history, is still that we're going to get a massive Q4, just like we did in 2017, right? We had kind of the same run-up, boring, altcoins didn't perform well until like late October, early November of 2017, and then they went into the first week of January. So they ran up November and December, and then that was basically it. Everybody should have been exited out of the market, by probably mid-December, end of December, to make sure they didn't round-trip their bags back into the bear market. And this cycle is kind of setting up very similarly, and like I mentioned before, even the same U.S. president is in office, which is crazy to think about, everything kind of lining up the exact same way. So What I'm doing is I've got 3 wallets set up. I have more than that, but my 3 main wallets, right? Wallet number 1, and these are all Tangem wallets, by the way, because you can swap inside of there into stable coins, and it's going to make it extremely easy to take profits. Wallet number 1 is going to be everything that I'm going to sell. Okay? Wallet number 2 is going to be everything that I'm holding long term, and I'm going to round trip back into next cycle. All that I have, right? Everybody's different. You guys are going to have your own goals as far as what you're going to hold potentially into next cycle. If anything, right? I wouldn't be I guess I wouldn't frown upon anybody who wants to sell out of everything and then just buy in the bottom of the bear market again. But I'm going to be holding potentially a little bit of Bitcoin and a little bit of Kaspa, percentage of my holdings in this second wallet into next cycle, okay? And then the third wallet is kind of stuff that you can trade in and out of, kind of like a trading wallet, okay? And what that's going to do is basically give you some clarity and not confuse yourself during this parabolic phase, okay? So all you need to pay attention to is this first wallet where you know you're going to sell everything. And everything in that wallet is going to be sold into stablecoins. And so that you don't have a mental block in your head of sentimental value to anything in that wallet, okay? So when the time comes, you're out completely. The second wallet, you know you're just not going to touch. Very simple. You're going to leave it there, and you're just not going to touch it. And the third wallet, if you want to trade in and out of some things, and sell some things, actually day trade if you want to, or, move in and out of things, then you're able to do that in that third wallet, and those funds stay separate. And so you're not mixing anything up, and everything's very clear cut what you're going to be doing in each of these 3 different wallets. And you could even, if you wanted to go a little further, that first wallet, right? And so everything is not 100% in one wallet. You could diversify that wallet into 2 or 3 wallets if you wanted to, so that if something happened to one wallet, you still have, 2 more wallets with sellable crypto inside of it. And that just gives you a little bit more safety. It might confuse some of you as well, so maybe it's better for just one wallet. It kind of depends on you guys, right? And what you think is going to work for you. That's what I'm doing. That's what I've done in the past. It's worked for me very well, because for those of you who haven't been through a cycle yet, when we do hit that parabolic phase, you're going to have mental blocks. A lot of people have mental blocks because you've kind of sat with your crypto for so long now that you have sentimental value to it. And it's harder, believe me, it's harder to sell than it is to buy. And so when you get to the point that you need to sell your crypto, then if you have it in a clear-cut wallet and you've already trained your mind that this wallet is going to be completely sold into stablecoins, then it relieves you from that mental block, hopefully, of the sentimental value of, this is like my baby, basically, because I've sat with it and watched it grow for so long that I don't want to sell it. Well, you need to sell it, right? You need to sell it, because what's going to happen is potentially next year, if the cycles continue like they have in the past, 2026, in theory, should be a bear market, and Bitcoin will probably drop 70 to 75%, and altcoins will inevitably, a lot of them will never come back, right? They'll be there. They're like ghost chains at that point, and they'll move a little bit here and there, but they'll never reach previous all-time highs. And you don't want to be stuck in a lot of those projects. I feel like Kaspa is going to be a coin that will make a higher all-time high next cycle, but we don't know that for a fact, right? Nobody knows that for a fact. Anything can happen in a 3 or 4 year period while we're waiting for the next cycle top, right? And so buy, shit coins if you want to, but have them in that sell wallet. Keep a little bit of Kaspa if you want. Keep a little bit of Bitcoin if you want. If you really, have a love for Solana or something like that, it seems like Solana might be around for a while because it's heavily used, right? Keep a little bit of that if you want to. I don't care. I'm selling all of mine. But if you separate things out very clearly and know exactly what you're going to do with them, then it makes things much easier when the time comes to sell your crypto. Because I'm telling you guys, it is not easy to do. You're always thinking, well, can I get another 2x? Can I get another 5x? Oh man, what if I can get another 10x out of this? And by the time you blink, we're already in a bear market, and you've now basically round-tripped your crypto, and you're waiting another 4 years to hopefully realize those gains again, right? Also, DCAing out is a good idea, right? If you make a 2x, take a small percentage out. If you make a 5x, take a certain percentage out. If you make a 10x, take a certain percentage out. And those percentages should grow as your x's grow, right? Because the more x's you do, the less chance you have of, doing more and more x's, right? And maybe get a spreadsheet if that works for you on, I'm not good at building spreadsheets like Southwest Iron says here. Yeah, it would be good to put it on a spreadsheet if you guys can do that, because it'll be extremely clear cut on what you're going to do, when you're going to sell, and you're going to easily realize the most gains doing it that way, right? We DCA into the market, but a lot of people don't DCA out because they don't have a plan and they don't know what they're doing. And so having that plan and sticking to that plan and making it very clear in your mind, getting your mind set up ahead of time of what you're going to do, is just going to make it easier on yourself when that time comes, okay? And the reason why I stress this so much right now is because before we know it, we will probably be in a parabolic phase. And you need to have everything set up before that, right? The train leaves the station without telling anybody, majority of the time. And so have your plan ready so that when the train does leave the station, you're not left behind, you're ready, and you're going to be able to maximize your profits. You're going to be able to basically come out of this bull cycle with hopefully life-changing gains. Yes, Richard, the market is extremely frustrating right now. Trust me, I look at it every day. I thought we were going to start moving up, after these rate cuts. It doesn't surprise me because I'm actually expecting a red September, but it's annoying when you get, a good little pump and then everything just goes right back down again, which it seems like it's been doing for 2 years now. And not just Kaspa, a lot of coins have been doing that. So, that's the end of my TED Talk for today. We're going to get into some questions. Hopefully that helps somebody out. And hopefully there's some of you guys in here that did not see my exit plan video last week or the week before. And I do highly recommend, maybe after the video I will link that video in the description. But it shouldn't be that hard to find. It's only probably, somewhere between 5 and 10 videos back. If not even sooner, actually. It could be even sooner. Let's see here. Oh man, I lost some of the beginning comments. That's weird. I think I lost some of the beginning comments. That sucks. I wanted to bring some of these comments up on screen, but I'm going to read them anyways. I've got like the bottom half of them here, but not the top half. So the what up says inching closer to a 10K sub goal. Yeah, hopefully. It's funny because I don't get a lot of subscriptions or views for that matter on my live streams, but all of my subscribers come from the videos that I do during the week, and I've been so busy that I haven't been doing as many during the week, and so the subscriber count's moving slower right now, but it is what it is. I got a lot going on in my personal life, so I get on when I can, and that's the way it's going to be. Feel the storm brewing. Glad to be along for the ride. Green tea in hand. Cheers. Yeah, the storm seems like it's brewing, and it's like I said, it's a matter of time. I know it's frustrating, but it is what it is. And Kaspa Queen says, I'm actually going to get to catch you live. It's almost 1 o'clock here, but good thing I had a huge cup of coffee from Wolfie's this morning, and I'm still buzzing. Yeah, you're still in overseas in Europe, right? I saw a bunch of photos and videos from you guys at the conference. Next question from Kaspa Queen. Or was it, it's not a question, statement. Wish you had been able to make the Kaspa experience. It was great fun. Yeah, it looked like everybody had a lot of fun. It would have been fun to go, but it's such a long trip for me, especially with a baby still. Sorry, nose itches. I got air conditioning blowing on my nose right now, and it's making it itch. Maybe next year's conference, if it's a little closer. But yeah, I did feel a little bit of FOMO because it looked like everybody had a lot of fun. And it was fun seeing the videos and the photos as well. Jack Thompson says, how does CG not know whether an interest rate cut is good or bad for crypto? That's a good question. I have no idea. I think CG is very simple-minded when it comes to crypto. Buy before it pumps and sell after it pumps. I don't think he understands macro all that much, or doesn't care, or literally doesn't think it has anything to do with crypto. Buffalo Theory says, yo, man from Bogota says, what's up? B More says, Kaspa's dumping for a year and a half isn't short term. Every crypto goes through a consolidation phase, especially after what it did in 2022 and 2023. It outperformed everything by many miles in the bear market, so it had to consolidate. Poor boy says he's losing hope in Kaspa, but he's going to keep holding. I know it's frustrating. But think about the catalysts that are coming up too. Like, smart contracts obviously should be out by the end of this month. And then you're actually going to be able to transact and do DeFi and have projects building on top of Kaspa. And then Eager Labs is supposed to come out in Q4 or launch in Q4. So we're going to have 2 layer 2s with hopefully hundreds and hundreds of projects starting to build. And all that's going to do is add to the potential as far as usage. And you got to remember that when people transact on these layer 2s, they have to buy Kaspa and use it as gas fees. So it's ultimately going to be beneficial to the base chain of Kaspa, because they're going to have to buy and sell Kaspa in order to transact on the layer 2s. And then, right, tier 1 exchanges, I still think are coming. I think at least Binance is coming this cycle. And so that's something to look forward to as well, because that is going to absolutely drive up the price if we do get one of those listings. Jack Thompson says, sorry, where are my manners? How you doing, Catman? I'm doing good. How are you doing, Jack? Kaspa Queen smart contracts are coming. I can't pronounce this name. Hadjo? Is it actually realistic for Cas to get close to $1 in the next 6 months? Yes. It's definitely realistic. Whether it happens or not, that's a different question. But it can happen. And it can happen fast. Yeah, Christian was talking about January, Feb 2. It's possible. It's hard to tell, but at least we're gonna know, right? When Q4, I'm assuming you're talking about the end of the cycle. But luckily we'll know, because Q4 is gonna come and go, and we're gonna know if Q4 is bullish or not. TP Hand says, my KS0 crashed. You know what? Funny you say that, because I'm not getting rewards for mine anymore, and I forgot to go check on it. I'm not sure if mine just stopped or if it crashed and it's done too. And I was in one of the very first shipments of the original KS0s, and so it's possible that they just didn't make them very good. And it just died. I don't know. That's interesting. Reminded me I have to go check on that thing. Matt says, for a blow-off top in November, we really need to start moving in October, aggressive pumps, or we won't get there. Well, in 2017, I keep bringing this up because it's relevant, because we've seen it before. Altcoins didn't really start moving until late October, early November. And so it is possible. But I do agree with you, it feels like we need to start moving soon. But we're going to see, right? I mean, it's going to play out right in front of our eyes fairly soon here. We're going to know the next couple months whether we are possibly going to see an extended cycle or we're going to get our blow-off top in Q4. We don't have that much longer to wait and see. Buffalo Theory, I feel like we need more rate cuts before the blow-off top, but you never know. Yeah, we probably do. I think we need a rate cut in October. And what I'm thinking, so in order to get, I'm not going to pull up the visuals here because it'll take me a second to find them. In order to get the Fed funds rate back down to neutral, we need 75 more basis points of rate cuts, I believe. Okay? I believe that's what I saw earlier today. So if we need 75 more basis points to get back down to neutral rate, and that's usually when, quantitative easing, everything starts. My theory is that if we get that third rate cut in December, right? Maybe just getting to the neutral rate in December is enough to get that like blow off top, and maybe it happens in December. And then the Fed looks at everything after that and says the economy's still good, inflation's not rising, everything looks good, jobs are coming back. What if they stop and halt at that point, or even have to, hint at tightening again because everything's okay after that the next 75 basis point? It makes you wonder. And then that will like enter us into a bear market, and there's so many varieties of variables that could happen, and routes that this cycle could take. But I'm trying to think of since we've been sitting sideways for so long, is just a few rate cuts to get us to the neutral Fed funds rate enough to blow off top, go parabolic for a month or so, and then maybe they waited too long, we're in a recession, and that's what causes it? Or maybe the bear market, or maybe the economy is sitting in a good place, and they're like, why do we need to cut anymore? Everything's fine. And that, kind of turns the market downward. I don't know. I'm just thinking of theories that could possibly happen. Or we go into next year, and maybe they start quantitative easing in December, and we go into next year, and, we get a new Fed, head of the Fed in, I think it's March or something like that. And maybe the cycle extends. We don't know what's going to happen. But I still think that based on history, I think we should assume that it's going to end in Q4 and then pivot if it doesn't. That's just what I'm doing anyways. And you got to be on our toes ready to pivot if we need to pivot. Ed says, have you heard anything on the Tangem credit card? I have not. There hasn't been any updates that I've seen. I think it was going to roll out. I'm assuming you're talking about the Visa partnership. It was supposed to roll out to Europe, the EU first. I'm not sure if that's already happened. And that was going to be the testing grounds to see how successful it was. And then hopefully expand from there. So me being in the United States, I don't know if I would even be able to use it as far as profit taking this cycle. It sounded like they were going to have it rolled out by, before the cycle ends, but I don't know. Be more, I'm not sure if pure adoption can rival VC pumpers. Well, think about Bitcoin. Because there's no VCs. I mean, you've got institutions, obviously, and stuff in Bitcoin now. But, it doesn't have, pre-mine for VCs or anything like that. And it does just fine. The market makers control the market, though. But I do agree with you that VC coins in short-term periods can have more pumping ability because the VCs are going to pump the coin. They want to make their money. So that's why I'm invested in a few VC proof-of-stake coins as well, because I want the best of both ends, both sides. And I know I've seen Solana pump absolutely insanely on 2 different occasions now, and I want to be part of that. That doesn't mean that I'm long-term, super bullish on it, but I'm going to take advantage of the VC pumping, and then I'm going to sell. But adoption in general is what is the reason, a big reason why Solana is doing so well. Because it's pretty much the most adopted chain now. And that's, I mean, the more people that use it, right, the more just everything looks brighter for a chain. And so pure adoption can go a long ways, especially if you've got like DeFi going on and some good DeFi projects are built on Kaspa, and then the TVL will go up, the total value locked. And that is a huge metric to tell how successful and how a chain is growing and the potential of it being around long term, as well as, you know, doing well in bull cycles and stuff like that. Making new all-time highs from cycle to cycle and not dying out. I missed Aster at 40 cents. Should I throw 40K into Toshi? $40,000 into Toshi? Oh, man. I don't know what the rest of your portfolio looks like, but risk management is key. If you're set, you know, and your portfolio is more heavily weighted in more safe projects, and your portfolio is fairly large, and 40K is not a massive percentage, then yeah, go ahead. I think Toshi's a good coin. As far as memes go, I don't know what its potential is for the bull cycle, but I would imagine it's going to go up. 40K is a lot of money to throw into a meme coin, though, for most people. Southwest, it does. It needs more exchanges. Well, let's put it this way. It needs a couple tier 1 exchanges, because if you actually go look at the exchanges that, I'm assuming you're talking about Kaspa here. If you go look at the exchange, it's listed on a hell of a lot of exchanges. They're just smaller exchanges, and not a lot of them are US-based exchanges. So I know Binance isn't US, although they do have a US option. Coinbase, Crypto.com are two huge US exchanges that would be very nice to get as far as listings for Kaspa. So it's not the amount right now, it's the select few, right, the biggest ones that we still want to get, that will just open up, because most normal, you know, normie people that come into crypto use those exchanges, and that's where you want to have access to those people through those exchanges. Binance, Coinbase, Crypto.com, and potentially Robinhood at some point. I don't expect to see Robinhood this cycle, if Robinhood ever comes. Kaspa Queen, did you see the credit card dev presentation at the Kaspa Experience? Worth a watch. I have not yet. I'm working my way through some of those Crypto Pumps live stream videos, because I don't think anybody else has video footage of that event, except for my boy Crypto Pumps. Shout out to him for live streaming and letting everybody get a little glimpse inside of the conference. Would be awesome if they made a green Tangem ring. That would be cool, like the Kaspa mint color. That's actually a good idea. Maybe we should flood Tangem's X page and see if we can get them to make one. You gotta have Tangem, yes. Tangem is awesome, yes. Jason, looking forward to when Tangem allows you to swap CAS for KRC20s, KRC20 memes. I believe that's going to happen once smart contracts launch because they need a live DEX on the chain in order to make those swaps. And Changerly ended up rugging people, I think. So what's probably going to happen, because that was something they were using, I'm not even sure how. Maybe it was on the KRC20 network somehow. But I believe Zealous Swap is going to be, and there'll be other DEXs that launch, but once smart contracts are live, then Tangem should be able to integrate on the back end some DEXs to be able to swap anything in the Kaspa network with each other. So that would be my best guess on when we start seeing that being available. Kaspa Queen. If you screenshot, you need to take profits. That's a fact. Volume is great. What is the volume like today, actually? It's not that great today. 24-hour volume is down 30% today, so that's not that good. At 43 million. It was up close to 100 million the other day. Southwest. I'd like someone to break down their profit taking, like which exchange you're going to use to exit. That's going to be different with everybody because everybody has their favorite, main exchange, and usually that's going to be one of those tier ones. Whether it be if you live outside of the U.S., it might be Binance. If you live inside of the United States, it's probably either Kraken, Crypto.com, Coinbase. That's typically those exchanges that you cash out from. But typically, at least what I think is the best route to go is to just swap into stable coins and hold your stable coins before you cash out, and just cash out when you need to cash out. If you need to buy something, whether it be a car or a house or how much money you make, a new TV, whatever it might be, couch, who knows, and then just leave it in stable coins so you don't have to pay the taxes all at once, unless you want to. I guess you could, and just, have a massive bank account. But what I'm going to do is just hold it in stable coins and then cash it out to my, move it over to the exchange and then into my bank account when need be. And that way I'm only using what I need to use. It's not sitting in my bank account, and it's also not too easy to get to so that I spend too much money on stupid stuff. And then I'm also going to keep a chunk of stable coins for reinvestment in next cycle, right? So I highly recommend you guys do that as well. And next cycle, I actually can't wait for the bear market. First of all, I want this cycle to be over. We've waited too long, and we're all frustrated. So we want to see some good price movement and be able to realize, some profit in the near future. But also the bear markets, in my opinion, are more fun because it's a longer period of time, and you get to, there's actually very easy key ways to make money in the bear market, which a lot of people don't know about, right? You can find projects that are just launching in a bear market, and you hold on to them and wait. You can get 50x pumps out of those things in the pre-halving year. And so I can't wait for that, because those are the type of coins you don't want to hold on to unless you find a gem. Most of them you don't want to hold on to, but you can find these newly launched coins that meet a certain criteria, and some of them you get 50 to 100x pumps out of in the bear market, and then you just sell them, and you've got so much more money to work with. So make sure, if you guys want to do some of that in the bear market, make sure you continue to follow me as well, because that's what I have fun doing in the bear market. And then I'm also going to buy some more Kaspa, probably, and some more Bitcoin. What I want to do is get myself a certain amount of Bitcoin just set. And man, my nose, this air conditioning just blowing straight in my face. And then just have a certain amount of Bitcoin and just hold it, right? Never touch it. And I'm going to hopefully get to that goal, the finality of my goal of that during this next bear cycle. And I think Bitcoin dropped 75% roughly, or 79%, 75% I think, in last bear market from its top. And so with diminishing returns on tops, you also get diminishing returns on bottoms. And so we might see like a 70% drop in Bitcoin. And if we get the top at 150, and also the fib levels tell you that 150 is probably going to be the top this cycle. Okay? So keep that in mind. You're going to hear a lot of people telling you that it's going to go to 1 million, which is absolutely outrageous this cycle. Anywhere from 200,000 to 1 million. And the fib levels, literally from cycle to cycle, tell the story. And maybe I'll do a video on that. I don't want to pull it up now because it'll take too long to get it set up. But the fib levels on Bitcoin actually tell the story of it topping out almost exactly at 150 this cycle. And a 70% drawdown from that is like 45, 48, something like that, thousand. Don't quote me on that exact math, but I did it last night. Forgot the exact number. And so I'll be, hopefully like middle to end of 2026, I'll be getting the rest of my Bitcoin at hopefully a 40-some thousand dollar Bitcoin at its bottom in the bear market. Because the last thing I want to do is buy it right now at 115,000 when I know it's probably going to be half that price, if not less than half that price, in a year from now. It makes no sense to buy it now. And then I guess you do risk the fact that it never goes down again, but we have nothing in history that tells us that's going to happen. So I would fully expect it to go down again. I remember watching Crypto Bros on YouTube in the last bull run. They were beyond giddy. Hope they sold. Yeah. Yeah, you're going to see that on YouTube, hopefully in the next couple months, where people are going to be extremely excited. The sentiment is going to be completely 180 from where it is right now. And that's when you need to start selling. Some people will tell you the truth, that you need to start selling, and some people are going to want to buy your bags and hope that you continue to buy more so that they can sell theirs at a higher price 15 days later. This is golden, says Southwest. Was it the exit plan? Or was it something else? All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for today. I know I have more comments here, but there's a ton of them, and I don't have time to get to them all. I will shout out Wyatt, who looks like just came in, made his comment. Let's check this out real quick. Prophet says, I know what I'm going to do. Dump my 250K once we hit 10 cents again. Hey, if that's your prerogative, go for it. That's the great thing about crypto is you can sell it and buy it whenever you want to. Anyways, on that note, guys, I'm going to take off. I got to go eat dinner. Shout out, obviously, again, to Kaspa Queen as well for staying up past 2:30 in the morning to hang out with us live in Europe. Tell everybody out there I said hi, even though I don't really know anybody. As far as Wolfie's Bar goes, they'll probably be like, who is that? If you see them again. But on that note, continue to pack your damn bags before it's too late. See you in the next video. Peace out.